I fully support universal education savings accounts because I believe that every child should have the same opportunity. However, the reason I personally got involved in this effort 15 years ago was to serve those students that are from low-income minority backgrounds, to make sure that they too are given the same opportunities as their counterparts. I think that fundamentally we have a moral obligation to ensure that those students who need it the most are prioritized in the conversation. COVID really revealed a lot of deep cracks in our system. Parents were all of a sudden in a front row seat of what their children were learning. They saw their schools close down. They saw mask mandates. They saw questionable curriculum. We've seen school violence increase. We've seen bullying increase. We've seen our students' mental health go down. Parents recognize that students should have access to a multitude of educational options, including private schools, including homeschooling, virtual schools. And so I think that now is the best time that we could possibly empower parents with education savings accounts. And I'm very proud of and excited to see Governor Abbott come out very strong on this. So oftentimes we hear about if we have school choice programs, it's going to hurt our public schools. I think the opposite is true. I think that when parents are given an option, it causes all schools to respond and it causes outcomes to increase. We've seen this across the country where we have those school choice programs, that it causes outcomes for all students to improve. And that in Texas, we have a vibrant, thriving charter community that is serving a diverse array of families. And one of the interesting things about charter schools when it comes to accountability is that if a charter school doesn't continue to perform and it doesn't do the job that it's set out to do, it will close down. I don't know the last time that a traditional ISD school closed down for having poor results or having kids failing or a number of different issues that we see faced every single day. So accountability, in my opinion, as mentioned, is that parents are the ultimate accountability. If their child is not succeeding in the classroom, they're going to go and they're going to find a different option. We believe that parents know their children better than anyone. Right now, they're sending their children to a school where they're trusting that things are getting done. And what COVID revealed was that not only were they not learning in the way they should be, but in many cases, they were learning things that their parents just totally disagreed with. Or their schools were closed. Or they had a substitute for half of the year. So the accountability is the parent. And if they're not happy with the way that their child is being educated, they can take those funds and go somewhere else. If your child is not thriving, even in the best public school, that may not be the fit for your child. But right now, we have a situation where our parents are desperate for educational options. We have a huge wait list for our public charter schools. We have parents knocking down the door asking for support to get their kids the education they deserve. We have a real crisis when it comes to educating our special needs students. And so ultimately, I believe that parents should be able to choose the when, the where, the how, and by whom their children are being taught. When we are talking about funding, I think it must be stated, right, that we have superintendents, and this is public data, making over $300,000 a year, when the teachers in your district are about $10,000 below average for the state in terms of their salary. So when you actually start to follow where those dollars are going, they're not going to the classroom, they're not going to the teachers, they're not going to the bus drivers, they're not going to the cafeteria workers. They're going to the bloated bureaucracy at the top, making over $300,000, $400,000 a year as a superintendent. Public data, check it out, and ask yourself, why are we paying so much for the top when we're not investing in our classrooms? Specifically, we're not investing in our students. I guess I would just point out that we hear this constant drumbeat of money, money, money. Just give us money and we'll do better. Just give us more money and we'll improve the system. It comes back to the same talking points every time. We also have data that shows no matter how much money you spend on education, you're not going to fix a behemoth of a system that is antiquated, outdated, and simply there's not one system that can serve every individual unique child. And so we have to stop respectfully talking about funding the system, and we must fund the child. We've seen in other states where they have education savings accounts, specifically Nevada, where they've had a proliferation of innovative micro schools. They've had homeschooling co-ops. They've had educators who say, I wasn't getting the support I needed because those dollars were going to the top, the bureaucracy. They weren't going into my classroom. So I'm going to leave this system that just isn't appreciating me, and I'm going to go start my own program. I'm going to tutor 10 kids a week and still make more than I was getting by a system that just didn't fund the students and the teachers. It was funding the bureaucracy. So I think that's really exciting to see that educators are now coming out and saying, hey, this is really an interesting approach, and I love educating kids, and I want to be a part of the solution, not a part of the problem. I would say there's a disconnect between what individual teachers want to do in the classroom and what Texas Association of School Boards and other bureaucratic entities are proposing, whether that's gender pronouns or, Marxist curriculum. There are these things that are happening that are actually causing parents to react. You may laugh, but the parents who are not laughing are those who are seeing their values and their morals being undermined when they send their kid to school. There's being a wedge that is driven between the trust between parents and their kids, and this is intentional. We see it happening. This is not just a talking point. This is why this movement continues to grow. I just keep hearing, I'm from the government and I'm here to help. That we know better. It's an insult to parents to think that they should not be the primary educator, and if they feel unable to or unequipped to do homeschooling or to participate in an ESA, guess what? You don't have to. You can still go to your neighborhood school. It's an optional program. If it works for you, why should you not have that freedom as a parent? If the neighborhood school, again, even if it's the best school, isn't working for your kid, why should you be forced to send your kid there? I just argue that you shouldn't. You shouldn't have to.